Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping straight into a story that is just, well, it's an unbelievable testament to courage, pure willpower, and a whole lot of faith. We're going to break down exactly how a young girl managed to take a completely terrifying, life-threatening situation and turn it completely upside down through sheer presence of mind. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine this scenario for just a second. A 10-year-old girl suddenly wakes up. But, she isn't in her bedroom. She isn't at home. She's actually on a strange moving train coach. The sheer, overwhelming disorientation of a moment like that, it's honestly hard to even wrap your head around. Literally 1 second, you're in a familiar, totally safe place, and the next, your reality is just fractured. You're moving, it's loud, unfamiliar, and as she's about to find out, completely hostile. Which, of course, immediately leads to one terrifying question. How on earth did she get there? Pause for a second and just try to put yourself in her shoes. Imagine waking up with absolutely zero memory of how you ended up in a dangerous situation. Your brain is just scrambling, right? You're desperately looking for any logical explanation, but there's just this terrifying blank space where your recent memories should be. It is the ultimate loss of control. Section 1. A terrifying awakening. The Diwali vacation nightmare. To understand how a young kid ends up in this kind of horrifying scenario, we really have to look at how fast a totally normal day can just shatter. So 1 minute, she's just an innocent kid playing outside. She's enjoying her Diwali vacation just like millions of other kids do every single year. And then everything suddenly goes totally blank. Just like that, she is taken. There's a complete gap in her consciousness. And the very next thing she knows, she's waking up confused on that moving train. No warning, no red flags, just a sudden plunge right into an absolute nightmare. And what makes it worse? That nightmare was sitting literally right next to her. There are two strange men talking on the seat right behind her. She wakes up and her kidnappers are dangerously, dangerously close. I mean, the tension in that train car must have been absolutely suffocating. She's having to process this massive, overwhelming confusion while at the exact same time realizing that the guys who did this to her are just inches away. And they are completely unaware that she's actually regained consciousness. But right here is where the story shifts from what could have been a tragedy into an absolute masterclass in survival. Looking out the window, she manages to read a sign, and it says, Vadodara Station. I really want to highlight her incredible presence of mind here. Honestly, most adults in this situation would be completely paralyzed by fear, right? Probably screaming or crying in panic. But this 10-year-old girl, she silently looks out the window. She gathers intel. She figures out her exact location. She is actively analyzing her surroundings despite the literal terror coursing through her veins. 4 hours. That's what she realizes. Vadodara Station is a full 4-hour journey away from her home. So she isn't just down the street. She's been transported deep, deep into unfamiliar territory. And that massive distance isolates her even further. It makes it abundantly clear to her that she is entirely on her own, far away from absolutely anyone who could step in and recognize her. Section 2. The Daring Train Escape, a split-second decision. Realizing you're 4 hours away from home with your kidnappers sitting right behind you? That means she only has a microscopic window of opportunity to act before those men realize she's awake, and this brilliantly illustrates her incredible strategic thinking. When the train finally comes to a halt at the station, she makes her move. But she doesn't just run out the normal way. No way. She jumps out the opposite side, completely away from the platform. Why? So the bad men wouldn't catch her again in the open, crowded station area where they could easily spot her. She knew they would immediately look for her on the platform side. So instead, she runs blindly through the thick bushes on the non-platform side. It's a highly calculated, massively high-risk maneuver, and it's executed flawlessly by a child. But man, it was not an easy escape. Despite having badly injured and bleeding legs, she doesn't stop running. You really have to feel this deep empathy for the physical pain she was in during this moment. The jump from the train, tearing through the rough terrain of those bushes, it completely tore up her legs, but her immense willpower just completely overrides the pain. The adrenaline, that absolute primal need to survive, it keeps her pushing through the brush, putting as much distance between herself and those kidnappers as humanly possible. Section 3. Sanctuary at the Temple, Finding Safety in a Crowd. After all that sheer panic and agonizing physical exertion, pushing through the bushes, a glimmer of hope finally appears in the distance for this exhausted little girl. She spots a Hanuman temple. And here's a detail that proves just how absolutely crucial timing can be in survival situations.
Since it happened to be a Saturday, a massive crowd had gathered outside. Saturday is a hugely significant day of worship at Hanuman temples, meaning the area was absolutely packed with devotees. For a fleeing, terrified child, this crowd represented immediate safety in numbers. It was the absolute perfect sanctuary, and it appeared exactly when she needed it most. We get this incredibly powerful and moving image of what happened next. She ran straight into the Garbhagriha, sat down, and started crying. The Garbhagriha is the inner sanctum, the most sacred part of the temple. After running on pure terror and raw survival instinct for what must have felt like a complete eternity, this is the exact moment the adrenaline finally fades. She reaches the deepest, most protected part of the sanctuary, she collapses, and the sheer emotional weight of everything she just endured finally pours out of her. It is just a moment of profound vulnerability after displaying unimaginable strength. But fortunately, she wasn't alone anymore. The crowd, seeing this poor, injured child crying in the inner sanctum, immediately circles around and asks what happened. And even then, as exhausted as she is, she bravely recounts the entire kidnapping incident. She doesn't shut down, she communicates. And because she spoke up, the temple priest and the local police immediately step in to help. They coordinate everything, they ensure her safety, and finally, she is safely escorted all the way back to her home. A whole community stepped up to finish the rescue that she so bravely started herself. Section 4. A Lifelong Gratitude. The Girl Today. An event of this magnitude obviously leaves a profound mark on a person's life. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredible contrast it shows. From a terrified 10-year-old kidnapping victim fighting for her survival in a train car, to the woman she became, Dr. Virul Bilwal, a highly reputed and incredibly successful doctor today. She didn't let the trauma of that horrific Diwali vacation break her, or let it define her negatively. Instead, she grew up to become a healer, a successful professional who now spends her entire life helping others. It is an absolutely stunning and inspiring transformation. And she and her family, they never forgot how she survived that day. Ever since that incident, her mother visits the Hanuman temple every single Saturday to say thanks. Really think about that for a second. Years and decades later, that gratitude hasn't faded in the slightest. That unwavering devotion is a beautiful testament to the sheer weight of what was given back to them on that terrifying Saturday, a daughter's life. Which leaves us with a final, really thought-provoking question to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. How much can presence of mind and a moment of divine grace change a life forever? Dr. Bilwal's story is just such a powerful reminder of human resilience. It took incredible courage, her sharp analytical thinking to jump out the opposite side of that train, and the protective sanctuary of a crowded temple to ensure she lived to tell the tale. It's a story that absolutely challenges us to consider our own presence of mind in times of crisis. Thank you so much for joining me for this amazing story, and keep learning.